things don't always work out in real life the way they look like they're gonna work out on paper. I just wanna write. I just wanna write and write whatever I feel like writing. So I think I just need to cut out this beginning entirely and start the book later. I do not know what is gonna help me get over this. It's another car vlog! Oh, and this is gonna be all shaky. I do not remember how I set up my phone in here last time to make it not shaky. I'm gonna try to make this quick. It is the end of March. That means that Camp NaNoWriMo is just around the corner. And as we all know, I love Camp NaNoWriMo. I am planning on participating, even though I'm also taking way more credits than I should have signed up for this next term. We'll see how this goes. I might end up dropping a class. Now that I know that waking up at 4 a.m. to do my writing is working for me, I am just going to plan on doing my Camp NaNoWriMo writing at 4 a.m. on work days, and then, you know, first thing in the morning on non-work days. And then I can spend the rest of my day doing homework when I'm not at work. So I think it should work out. That's not to say it won't be a challenge. I have this syndrome where things work in my head and I aspire to do too many things because I'm like, well, yeah, that should work. I've got, 24 hours in the day, and things don't always work out in real life the way they look like they're gonna work out on paper. So I'm feeling optimistic about Camp NaNoWriMo, but I'm also trying to give myself a healthy dose of reality and know that I probably will feel really burnt out really fast given all the classes that I'm gonna be taking. So this term I am taking a social media marketing class, a web design class, and a screenwriting class, which is really exciting. So right now, the last couple of hours I have spent working on my screenwriting homework. And we are reading this book called Screenplay, which was apparently like the first legit book on writing a screenplay that was written. I think it came out originally in the 1970s. And all the other books on screenwriting have kind of riffed off of this book. And I wanted to take a class on screenwriting, first of all, because it satisfies some credits that I need for my major, but then also because I just want to learn lots of different kinds of writing, because I feel like the more you can learn about writing in lots of different genres and styles, the better. That's just going to help with my writing all around. And I really was hoping this class would really help me understand story structure and pacing, and so far, this is day one, but so far I'm not disappointed. There's always been this kind of debate in my mind about using a formula when writing a story, and sometimes I worry that relying so heavily on Save the Cat beat sheet, that my books are going to sound too formulaic. And I really like the distinction that this writer made between form and formula. So he just spent the whole of the first chapter of this book describing the form of a good screenplay, that it has a beginning, a middle, and an end. He goes over what makes up Act 1, Act 2, and Act 3. None of that was really new to me. That's kind of a lot of stuff that I've studied before. But then he says, what's the distinction between form and formula? The form of a coat or a jacket, for example, is 2 arms, a front, and a back. And within that form of arms, front, and back, you can have any variation of style, fabric, color, and size, but the form remains intact. A formula, however, is totally different. A formula never varies. Certain elements are put together so they come out exactly the same each and every time. If you put that coat on an assembly line, every coat will be exactly the same, with the same pattern, the same fabric, the same color, the same cut, the same material. The coat does not change except for the size. A screenplay, or a novel, on the other hand, is a totally individual presentation. And I just loved that. I love that distinction between form and formula. A 3-act story structure, he's saying, is not a formula. That's just creating the form, the structure of a story. He opens this chapter of the book talking about F. Scott Fitzgerald and how he for years and years and years tried so hard to write a successful screenplay and could never do it. He talks about how here is this like one of the greatest writers of all time, and he tortured himself because he couldn't figure out what a screenplay was to be able to write one. And I think that is where the importance of understanding form comes in. When you know what it is you're trying to make, then you can make it. So F. Scott Fitzgerald, he had, using the coat analogy, he had all the fabrics that he wanted to use. He had all the flowery language, the interesting characters, and the backstories. He had all that stuff that makes it interesting, but because he didn't know what it was he was constructing, he couldn't get himself to do it. That's the importance of story structure, folks. When you know what the structure is, when you know what it is you're trying to build, then you can get creative with it and do it in your own way. But you can't make a coat that doesn't have armholes or a front or a back, Anyways, I thought that was cool. Just wanted to share what I'm learning at school. Felix! Felix! Yoo-hoo! He was having a bad hair day. Hello. Well, you're beautiful. You should cover your face. It is the first day of Camp NaNoWriMo, April 2021. And it's also my day off of work. So I have just been lounging, laying in bed for the past, 2 hours or so, not wanting to get up because even though it is the first day of Camp NaNoWriMo and all I want to do is just spend the whole day writing, this is technically my homework day, the day for me to get up to speed in all my classes because I've been working all week and now it's Thursday and I've really got to crack down and get as much homework done as I can before we go back to work tomorrow. Simon, come here. Come up here on my tortilla blanket. Yeah, good boy. So anyways, just because I think I've been laying in bed all this time watching YouTube videos, procrastinating getting up because I know that once I get up, I've got to be responsible. I've got to do my homework. I've got to, exercise and take a shower and do all those things. But I've just been going with school, and all I want to do is just write and enjoy my day off. And so I think I'm just going to allow myself to do that. I just watched Lindsay Puckett's latest vlog, and I'm like, yeah, I just want to write. I just want to write and write whatever I feel like writing. And I think I'm just going to allow myself to do that today because if I plan on doing homework first thing, I'm never going to get out of bed. So let's just enjoy this Camp NaNoWriMo and get to writing. Good morning. It is Camp NaNoWriMo Day 2 of Camp NaNoWriMo April 2021. Yesterday, I'm glad that I decided to just write first thing instead of doing my homework because it got me out of bed, and it was really nice to just have time for writing without knowing I needed to rush out the door any minute for work. I was able to spend a lot more time working on my book than I have had in a long time, so that was nice. Today, however, I did not get up early to write, and yesterday I didn't get any homework done, so it's kind of a catch-22. I am going to try to work on my book today, though, because I encountered something that I don't want to accept right now. I have been working and reworking the beginning of this novel for the past few years, and I've rewritten it so many times. 2 years ago, I cut out 30,000 words from the beginning of the novel, and then yesterday, I actually spent more time cutting out words than writing words in the beginning. Like the first 7 chapters, I just condensed into 3 chapters, and I was really super proud of myself. But then yesterday, I made the mistake of, instead of continuing forward, I went back and reread those 3 chapters because I'm taking a screenwriting class now. And in the screenwriting class, I'm learning what a good beginning is, which I've already read a ton, but for some reason something just clicked where I was like, this beginning is just way too long and it doesn't start where the action is, and I want to start where the action is, so I think I just need to cut out this beginning entirely and start the book later. So I'm going to ruminate on this a little bit longer, and I'm going to listen to the first 3 chapters on a text-to-speech reader today, and hopefully that will help me decide what to do. It looks like Camp NaNoWriMo is not going to work out for me this month, which is sad and upsetting, but I'm still working on my writing. I just am so overwhelmed with school right now. I'm only taking 3 classes, which I've been taking 3 classes every term for the past year. Usually I have 1 class that requires a lot of me, and then the other 2 I can kind of, coast my way through. But this term, all 3 classes are pretty intense, and I'm excited about all of them. They're all really fun, great classes, but they just require so much of me, and just really exhausted the last few days and struggling to write. And then I did yesterday manage to make the time to listen to the first few chapters that I've been working on for Untamable, my book, and yep, it is confirmed. I just need to cut those chapters out, and I think that was just like the cherry on top of my exhaustion pie, because it's just so much time and effort that's gone into reworking these chapters over and over and over again, and it was all completely pointless. I'm sure I gained something from it, but to be honest, it just feels like I've wasted so much time on this book, and right now the enchantment of the book is gone, and I just feel tired. So yeah, I don't have a positive spin on this right now. I'm just recording right now in this moment how I feel, and how I feel is that this is one of the troughs of writing. There's peaks and troughs. This is a trough. It doesn't feel good. I'm not in love with writing right now. I made lots of time for writing this morning. I got up at 4 a.m. and got all ready for work, sat down. I had almost a full hour to work on writing, and I spent most of the hour just staring at the screen, trying to rewrite chapter 1 from a different point in the book. And I've rewritten chapter 1 so many times that all I could think was, this feels pointless. It just feels like once you reach a point where you have worked a book until your brain is bleeding. But at the same time, I don't want to write anything else. I mean, I have another project that I'm working on, but I want to write this book, and I want this book to be done. And I think just how much I want this book to be done is making it hard for me to just write it. Oh, I'm so tired. I'm so just... I do not know what is going to help me get over this, what's going to help me get back into feeling excited about this book and creative. It's like when I'm just sitting here, I can think of all the things that I want to do with the book. I can think of how I want the first chapter to go, but when I sit down to write it, it's like it just won't come, and I feel this just exhaustion take over. So yeah, just documenting that this is how it feels right now, and hopefully I'll be able to work through this. Alright, it's a couple of weeks later. Camp NaNoWriMo is winding down, and obviously I did not end up really participating. The furthest that I got in Camp NaNoWriMo was creating my profile, and I did not update it once. I think that the last time I checked in, I was feeling pretty discouraged about my book. I think one of the big issues that you can have when you write the same book for years and years and years is that with every round of revisions, it's kind of like that mythological Greek monster with the 2 heads, and every time you chop off a head, 2 more grow in its place. That is exactly how editing this book feels to me. It feels like every round of revisions that I do on Untamable, I'm like, I'm gonna cut out all this stuff and I'm going to make it shorter and more succinct, and we don't need this scene, and I'm lopping off heads right and left. And somehow every time I do a round of revisions, the book ends up twice as long. And I think it's because I keep adding in new scenes to replace, like I'll cut out one scene, but then I have to write 2 new ones to replace the one that I cut out, because it turns out there is still information that needs to be shared or whatever. So about a week ago, I suddenly had the urge to sit down and rewrite the prologue again. This is probably my, 10 millionth time rewriting my prologue. And what I ended up doing was just going back to my original prologue, which was 1 page long. And every rewrite of the prologue since then has been longer and longer and longer until it was like full chapter length prologue. This might as well just be chapter 1. And so finally I just went back and I was like, you know what? This is ridiculous. I've created way too many heads here and I just need to go back to the beginning. So I went back to my original prologue, added in maybe like 2 paragraphs, but it still is only a page long, maybe just slightly over a page. And it does the job. It accomplishes what I want my prologue to accomplish without getting into more detail that just adds more heads to the book. And it felt really good. I am hesitant to say that's it. That's the official prologue. I'm never touching the prologue again because I've said that multiple times. But like, I'm really happy with it now. Now it's the way I want it to be. And then I end up going back and redoing the whole thing. So what I've learned from that is that I really just need to minimize my process. I really feel like my screenwriting class this term has helped me recognize what is necessary in the book and what is not. A screenplay is so minimal but so impactful. It's like you only do exactly what needs to be said, exactly what needs to be seen, and anything beyond that is like you are going to lose your audience. And no matter how good the screenplay is, if you have like 2 moments of fluff that don't need to be there, you lost your audience. I think that's why the book on screenwriting, Save the Cat, has been so helpful for novel writers, and they ended up coming out with one specifically for novels, because it teaches those principles of like, get the story down to its core, its like most basic parts, and then expound from there. And my issue is that I just expound way too much, because I think in a lot of ways I'm still trying to find out what the core of my novel is. And whenever I think I know, oh, this is the message of the book, or this is the theme, then I write several new scenes based on that theme and then realize, nope, that was the wrong direction, or yeah, anyways, blah, 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 blah. Here I am adding 2 heads to 1 when I just wanted to say I have written, not every day, but I have been writing. And so even though I didn't end up doing Camp NaNoWriMo, I have made peace with what I can do during this time and what I cannot do, and I'm okay with what I can't do. And that's makes me feel so grown up. I don't even know when I'm gonna have time to edit this video, but I'm gonna close it out here.
Would you come and take a walk with me? We'll cross over the mountains, we'll reach the pale blue sea. I love you, I'm so glad you love me too. And I wrote this song for you, every word I say